Alright, back in bold. This is the only warm clothes I have. I got my Muslim wardrobe on. I got it in Egypt. Beautiful piece, no?
It is beautiful. It is nice.
It's a unique souvenir too. My friend hopefully pop up this photo. Jesus of Egypt, I call him, but crazy time in Egypt, crazy time. But now, back in Minnesota, it's freezing. In a couple weeks, South America is calling. I wanted to do a little podcast with you because it's your first time going to South America. And I think a lot of people have the same questions, same fears, same, want to get the gist of what they're getting into, right? So if you're moving or traveling down here, these are some common things that we're going to try to clear up. So Zach, are you excited?
Let's talk about it. Mr. Casanova, we're going to be experiencing South America with the one and only Bold.
You are about to embark on a journey, not just through space and time, but through the very fabric of human perception. Imagine a world where the familiar becomes strange, and the strange becomes familiar. A place where the boundaries of reality blur, and the only limit is your imagination. This is a voyage into the heart of the unknown, where every turn reveals a new perspective, and every story challenges what you thought you knew. Welcome to Bold Perceptions, where we explore the myriad ways people see the world and discover that sometimes the most extraordinary adventures lie just beyond the horizon of our own understanding.
So, it'll be interesting, but I feel like I'm very self-aware when traveling anyways, so a lot of the same fears and things that come up, I'm not necessarily afraid about, but
Yeah.
we went back and forth and talked about it, so it'll be interesting.
Well, the biggest thing with you were set on Buenos Aires, and I'm like, why there? I haven't been yet. Heard many great things, but that was like, oh, no, Nick, I did Sao Paulo, no, Rio, no, Colombia, no. But why Argentina?
But it wasn't because I was scared of those places. It was just more of, we've been friends for a long time. We've been going back and forth about thinking about different places where we could travel to. I know he likes South America. I work on US time zone, so it works well in that scenario. And I just did research into all the cities, and I just really liked the beauty of Buenos Aires. And I'm a big meat guy. And I heard South America, or just in general, Argentina is a big steak area. And I figured, if I can eat well the way I want to in a country and eat much cheaper than it is currently, being a beautiful city. So I just looked into Buenos Aires, kept looking into it probably 6-9 months ago. And that's how I came upon it. The other thing is I knew that he liked Italian, just the European vibe. And doing the research, I found out that Argentina has a lot of Italian descendants. The buildings and the architecture is very European. So why not be on a US time zone essentially, but still get that European vibe. And that's what I got out of Buenos Aires.
Yeah, I'm looking for the perfect mix of Latin America and Europe, and everyone says the best you're going to get is Argentina, because I think if you stay in Latin America too long, in Brazil, Colombia, even Mexico, you kind of lose your mind. The way of life, the thinking, the partying, the adventure, it's too much. And I always go a little hedonistic by my end of the run. I need to get out and go to society, in quote, civilization. So I'm hoping this is the balance. But why do you want to go down to South America? This is a big thing because we're seeing it a lot. Dudes in the West promoting Paraguay, promoting Brazil, Colombia, like escape the West, get down to sunshine and Bunda. What is the idea behind for you?
I'm big into travel in general. If you guys check out the YouTube channel, I talk about credit, points, miles, all of that. So I've always been big into travel. And South America specifically, it was just on the time zone. You had talked about how great it was. Of course, it would be cool to go to Bali or Indonesia, but then when you're doing 12-hour difference in time zone, that's a huge fluctuation in terms of trying to work or get content or just a change of pace. So for me, South America was an easier flight option. It was on the time zones. It's still considered cheap to some standards depending on where you want to go. And so, really pretty much those are the boxes.
What were your biggest concerns coming down there? Obviously we talked about the safety, but paying, how are you going to pay? Do you need cash? You need credit cards? Especially in Argentina. I guess that's changed now, where the blue rates or the government rates is like the same, so you can't use credit card. I know last year you're getting like 50% if you use credit card instead of using cash, which was a big reason I didn't go. I was planning on going with Chris, the freelancer, and then I'm like, dude, I gotta go carry all this cash on me. VA like had apartments with pools for like $1,000, I'm like, I thought this was super cheap. I guess on the ground was, but everyone and their mother was coming down there, so prices shot up on the Airbnb. So I just went to Colombia, had a beautiful time. But going back to the main question, like walk me through what you were asking me or doing research on, making that jump down to South America.
Yeah, so the currency thing was a little bit of a question mark because I just joined Facebook groups, Buenos Aires expat groups, to try to get kind of more of in the know of what's happening on the ground. But as we know, just with Malay and how the government's going, it has possibly gotten a little bit more expensive, but it's made it easier to utilize credit cards. Where before you're having to go to Cambio stands or bringing in lots of US dollars to then, exchange them for pesos. I believe that's what they use, pesos. So that was initially a concern because I don't really speak much Spanish and I didn't really know how I would operate over there if I needed to exchange dollars all the time. But it sounds like that has, with the changes, with things getting a little bit more stable, you can use credit cards now. South America in general.
Speaking of the language, this is a big thing for people. Oh my God, I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Portuguese in Brazil. Am I screwed? How will I communicate with anyone? I've probably done 2 years in Latin America, different places, and I don't speak Spanish. Okay, hola bonita, ¿cómo estás? The basic things, and I've had no issue. But I should learn. I think it would unlock a whole new experience, but it's totally doable to survive down there with only speaking English. Okay, and then the other thing is the high class, which a lot of times you want to be around the movers and shakers and those kind of people, they speak English. They're international people, you know what I mean? Like even in the northeast of Brazil, I was meeting people, and this helped with the football. I was putting onto a community that were big ballers. I'm talking like stupid rich, owns the largest dairy farm in Brazil. So like you meet these people, bro, they've been all over Europe, United States, and they're speaking English. Is it easy to get into these groups? I don't think for a regular traveler, it's not as easy. I did kind of well. When I first went to South America, I went to Florianópolis, Brazil, which is a great place because it's very safe, European-like, beautiful beaches. It's just not warm year-round. And I did meet some movers and shakers, but not as much as when I was plugged into the sports team and the community. But you got to understand the high class, the rich areas, a lot of them speak English, so you can get by. This doesn't mean you shouldn't learn the language. I think I've been very lazy on that end, but you're not gonna die and get around without speaking Spanish.
I think it makes you want to learn the language more. I have heard, obviously you're going to find people that speak English anywhere you go. But I will say I was just in Mexico City, and a lot of people in Mexico City, even though it's a pretty large expat area where Canadians and North Americans go to, still wasn't that much English going on. So for me, it is, right, when you're in a new country, you're staying there a little bit longer. You do kind of feel like it's harder to connect with people or meet new people if you don't know the language. But I think being in the culture, eventually you start picking up certain things. And I heard there's a lot of English and like Spanish type of groups where they do like hangouts or drinks or like happy hours, but that's all across South America as well. So if you really want to, you can dive into those things. I guess we'll find out when we get there. But both me and you we don't know much Spanish at all. It's going to be kind of learning on the fly or like trying to find 10 to 15 minutes a day to try to figure out the sentences or things that I need to speak to someone at a grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to speak to people daily and you can't handle Google Translate and just vibes and Hakuna Matata, you're going to probably have an issue. But for the most part, like you just point, I want this, or you try to speak Spanish, English, a mix, and then you Google Translate the rest. Like it's totally fine. You'll meet enough people that speak English to get your fix in, but I mean, there were times when I was in the northeast Brazil where I didn't see another gringo for weeks on end. You know what I mean? So you're in your own bubble, and that's tough for a traveler. And this is why I think it's really good to go down with someone your first rodeo in South America, because I'll be there with Zach, and we can hang out and talk and learn different things. But yeah, I think the language barrier thing, it holds a lot of people back, but it's not that complicated. I think you can get through it easy.
I don't think it should hold you back at all. Like that's also the great thing about traveling and being in a new country is just being immersed in the culture. I don't think that's something that should stop you from traveling or going somewhere. But I will say, from the original question about why Buenos Aires, because this popped in my head as well. When you hear about South America, everyone talks about Medellin, Colombia. Everyone goes to Colombia. I thought that Buenos Aires looked sweet. The apartments were like really nice for the prices compared to like everywhere else. I looked in South America, like Santiago had some nice, cheap apartments too. I know Medellin has them as well, but no one really talked about Buenos Aires from a nomadic perspective, and I thought the city was slept on. So I'm also the guy, kind of like Nick, we like to do our own thing, kind of make a statement. Like, I didn't want to go somewhere that everyone else had gone to. Like what you hear from the nomad community, they go to, Medellin, they go to Colombia,
Rio.
That's the hottest spot, or Rio. And he had mentioned, Rio. You should probably go there after going to a couple other South American cities first, get your bearings. But even then, Rio the apartments that I was looking for seemed expensive.
Yeah,
so for me, it was an opportunity to go to Argentina, go to Buenos Aires, where not many people are talking about. I think it's slept on. I think it's going to be like a really big nomad city.
Do you think that? Because I've been hearing a lot of people there last year. Maybe it's the little bubble on Twitter.
But I would say, our plan is to like obviously create content together. Mm-hmm. As we know, me and you have done a lot of content, but it's all solo. So it like makes it so much more fun to create content when you have other people to do it with, which is going to be good for us. But also, like when I was looking up Buenos Aires vlogs, it's like the same couple of people.
Really?
So I think there's going to be a lot of more exposure, like in terms of a content side, where you could find your typical pickup artist or sales guy everyone's made Medellin, YouTube vlogs. Everyone kind of knows about Colombia as being the hot spot. So I just thought, it's kind of a diamond in the rough. Seems like a beautiful city. We'll find out.
I go back to the last thing about the currency, the problems arising down there. What about the crime? So how have you gotten over that? Because you were kind of worried about different spots. This is a big thing for people. Oh my God, I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get robbed. I'm going to get shot.
Yeah. No, I wasn't necessarily concerned at all about that. I remember when I went to Europe for the first time, and my family and people in America were telling me that I was going to get pickpocketed and robbed, and I was literally living in Barcelona, and I never had a problem. If you have some type of social awareness, like, you're just fine. Like, I've done it as simple. If I see someone following me, I just stare them in the eyes, and they know exactly what's up. Like, there's not, as long as you have some type of social awareness, I don't think you should be afraid about it. But at the same time, of course, I do my research into what are the best neighborhoods that you should stay in as a nomad. What are the neighborhoods and pockets that you should probably, not go to alone or at night. Like, simple, from what I know, Argentina, obviously a lot of people stay in Palermo Soho or Recoleta or Belgrano. But then where the soccer team is, like the La Boca Juniors, is considered a really cool neighborhood to go to. But they still say, you probably shouldn't be going there solo all the time or trying to go to a game by yourself. You just pick up those things. So it's not like you're scared. Am I afraid of murder?
No, you got a burner.
Oh, a burner.
A burner phone, which is a great idea.
I did get a burner, which the screen is screwed, so I'm gonna have to get another one for whatever reason. But yeah, I will get a burner. But yeah, I'm not necessarily like. I also heard that Buenos Aires was like a very safe and like welcoming and like warm city. You had said Rio, obviously you need to know.
Rio's shady.
You need to know your shit when you're going through Rio, which I'm not, I'm not scared of any of that stuff by any means, but it doesn't hurt to, right, do your research and look into these things, because you can still go to La Boca and have a good time, but as long as, in your mind you're like, okay, some more stuff could be happening here, you're, still doing your due diligence with yourself. You just don't want to be an idiot in, certain locations.
I think if you just be basically not stupid, you're going to be fine. But there always is like a time and place where it just happens, where you're just out of luck. But that's rare. It's like really, really rare. It usually comes down to drinking, woman, and drugs. Like if you just be careful on those ends or don't do those, you're going to have no issue in South America until the time happens where you just get got. That can happen.
But I say it's the same thing, just like anywhere else in the world. You can go down the street and you're in a bad neighborhood, and you're not going to feel safe being in a bad neighborhood. That happens in Tampa, Florida, where I am. Like, that happens here in Minnesota. Everywhere you go, there's going to be bad neighborhoods. and you probably know if you're in a bad neighborhood or not.
How did you look it up? Hood Maps? That's a good one. Hood Maps can tell you exactly neighborhoods in a non-politically correct way.
I mean, I just looked up different Reddit posts, different stuff online, people's YouTube vlogs. Like that's how I look it up. I know you had mentioned Hood Maps,
I like Hood Maps.
but also like the likeliness of us breaching, 30 kilometers outside of the city. I heard it's a major city. So we're probably going to be in those touristy or nomad spots and explore other places like Puerto Madero or other parts of the city.
I think a big thing too when you're walking the streets is be careful with the phone, obviously, but duck in and out of shops. Okay, so if you feel at all sketchy or whatnot, go into the shop, check your phone. There's usually security guards at these different places. Obviously, don't be just free willy and then the moto comes by and snatches you. If someone is following you, tailing you, let them pass or go by. I don't know about staring them in the eye.
I just used to do that in the subway.
The subway.
And in Barcelona, like people are sitting behind you with a backpack or probably trying to get into your pockets. Like it's just as simple as putting your hands in your pockets. There's not.
Yeah.
You let them know that they're there, and they kind of move their way along sometimes. But
Something that I've done, but you got to have kind of the charisma to pull it off, is if you see shady people and like they're the only people on the street, or you're in an area, they have the tattoos or they just look rough. Like you go up to them like, "Hola amigo," beleza, and like "Tutu bom," and they're like, "Whoa," like okay, hola, hello. But it's like you getting out in front of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're scared and whatnot. And if the local sees you coming up and saying that, they're like, okay, this guy is not a rookie. He's been around here. He's not afraid. Obviously, if it starts getting into like a conversation, they start following you around. Then you gotta take some different steps. But it's worked for me a lot is when I go up to them first. You know what I mean? And then sometimes they're cool and they, hey, let me show you this or do that, and it just gives out that non-fear thing. Because obviously what they want is something that's an easy target. Okay, boom, take it, snatch it. You're not gonna do anything. So if you give off like, okay, maybe he puts up a fight, or maybe he knows people here because he's so comfortable, then you're gonna be fine. But if it does happen to you, you just give it to him, okay? As much as you want to keep the iPhone or whatnot, $1,000, it's not worth your life. You don't play with these dudes if they put the gun to you, or maybe if it's a knife, but even a knife, you just Hakuna Matata, you move
like
on.
a knife is worse.
Yeah, I guess that.
you don't want to be knifed in a.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna run away. Like you can hit the knife with the gun, you can't run. It's just they got you.
I mean, I've always been curious about, because I hear that all the time, where you mention, oh, you don't want to, people say that all the time, you don't want to be holding your phone up, walking on the street, motos can come by. Like, to me, I'd probably feel like I'd hear a motorcycle, or, like, I don't get how people that happens so easily.
They're pretty good. They're sneaky, man. Like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they come, they snack it. But yeah, I mean, if you're walking on this side of the street, don't hold it over here. Just go like this, quick look at it. But the moto guys are sketchy. Like that's when you see, like I was talking about this when I was in Munich this year. Like I was fiending to see some dude on a moto with tattoos coming my way just to get like a heart pumping. Because it's so safe in Germany. Like I have no worries. But you're in Brazil and if you're walking around stupidly and all of a sudden you see some guy or two of them on there. If you see two guys on a moto, that's where you need to be very careful.
And they pretty much just hang out on the streets like it would be like a rat-bite driver, essentially. Like they're just hanging out parked. And then eventually they're just trying to see if people are walking down the streets, and then they just mess around.
Two guys on a moto is the scary part. That's where you gotta be really careful and maybe like duck out of the way and don't get in their thing. Because one guy jumps off, puts the gun to your head, and then he turns around, they jump back on, and you're done. But okay, what else? See, safety, currency issues. You talking about Wi-Fi or like how are you gonna work? So you're gonna go.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me a little bit, which we'll know when we're down there, is just like making sure I'm connected to a VPN for certain things. Like if you're in crypto or in finance or whatever, like just I got to be very cognizant when logging into certain stuff with VPNs, making sure that nothing gets frozen in that factor. Wi-Fi, it sounds like BA specifically in a lot of South America does just fine with Wi-Fi. And then we got an extra phone, which I'll probably put my eSIM on the extra phone and use that for any service within the country, and then I'll just have my other normal phone connected to Wi-Fi when I need to speak with family or iMessage or call people back and forth that way. But yeah, from that perspective, I mean, Yeah, really, it was just same time zone, understanding the culture. Like, sounds like Buenos Aires is a safe, really popping area. A lot of people are it's a really good culture. It's meat culture. I like meat, and the apartments and condos were, like, in my opinion, were in a lot better shape than some of the other South American cities, and they were cheaper. So for me, even though Buenos Aires, everyone seems to be freaking out. Well, I'll talk about that, which is like the research into it, because that was one of the concerns that you said. Well, Argentina is getting more expensive. Everyone's saying it's...
People were saying it was like Swiss prices, like to get a coffee and whatnot, and I'm like, why the hell would I go there? Like, especially when the real is collapsing right in Brazil right now. It's like, just go to Brazil, but keep going.
And we can talk about that, because he really wants to go to Brazil. He likes Brazil. I wasn't against it by any means, because we were thinking about possibly Sao Paulo as well.
But I wanted to go to like Belém or some weird coastal city.
He wanted to go to some like random coastal city, and I'm like, the first time in South America, I'm not going to like a small village.
A million. Okay, first of all, there's these small coastal cities have 1 million people in there. There's 30 plus cities in Brazil that have 1 million, and there's no gringos, So like the experience is out of this world, because you're like the token gringo. And the Brazilians love the gringos. They really do treat you well and want you to enjoy Brazil. But anyways, you were saying the research in the Buenos Aires?
Yeah, I just did, to give people like an idea of if you're looking for a South American city to go to. I looked at every major South American city, from Sao Paulo to Rio to Medellin to Bogota to Santiago de Chile to Buenos Aires.
Lima,
I looked at Lima. And in my opinion, right, there is Rio, there's Medellin, and Buenos Aires, which is, you're going to meet more nomads. There's more travelers.
That's what you're
there,
looking for. You want to meet the...
Well, it's a little bit, but it's not as, like, if you go to Santiago de Chile, like, you can get nice apartments for pretty cheap, but it's kind of a slower type of vibe, a slower type of town, in my opinion. But it's still kind of a big city. So when I was looking at South America, of course, a lot of people want to go down to South America because they can save money versus paying, rent and car insurance and property insurance, all these things that go into living in America, which is what I was noticing, is the fact that, I live in Florida, and I've seen rents for one bedrooms go from $1,200 to $2,000, and then you're paying $250 a month for car insurance, and then you're paying all this extra
food is expensive,
health insurance, all these extra things that go into it.
Dude, a Chipotle burrito now is like it was like $9 I paid after taxes. It used to be like
I
$5,
get double
25
chicken
cents.
and it's like $16. I can't even get a Chipotle burrito without dropping a $20 bill.
Crazy.
So when I was looking at that, I was looking, in my opinion, because he had said, he was looking into it, how it was getting more expensive, and the more that I looked into it, it sounded like the food, which used to be extremely cheap in Argentina a year ago, and in Buenos Aires, people were getting steak dinners for $5 to $7. If I can have a steak dinner for $7 a day, I'm eating good. I can't even get a steak for less than $20 from Publix in Florida. So to me, though, they had some of the best apartments and condos for a good price. Under, I got my apartment for $550 for like 36 nights, which is pretty dang good. Yeah, with a rooftop pool, which is pretty good. So if the price of food goes up a little bit, let's say it's 5 to 7, now it's 8 to 10. If I pay 8 to 10 every time, I'm still saving $500 extra a month, where if I were to go to some other South American city, where if I was looking at Rio, it was literally just as expensive as the apartments that I see in Florida. So for me, the small fluctuation of food prices in Argentina didn't really outweigh the overall cost of living there, because the most expensive thing is rent. So I thought about that, and then I'm not paying car insurance. The public transportation was really good with the subway. So all of those things, I just thought, good lifestyle, good food, still cheap and affordable. And the more I looked into it, still people were saying, you can still easily live here on $1,200 a month if you wanted to. So yeah, it was price, it was city, it was culture, safety, and I thought it kind of tagged all of those boxes without overextending.
What does people say if you talk to them about moving down there? Are they all freaking out? Like, what are you doing? Obviously, okay, you gotta be safe, but like, or is this becoming it feels like a more common thing for dudes to be like, things are getting a little weird here. I feel good vibes since I've been back. I'm like, wow, I think it is getting decent, but a lot of dudes are like struggling or just want to escape because they don't see like a future in the USA. You know, you can't buy a home anymore and all that.
Yeah.
But what is the kind of the people you talk to? They're just like, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Or
Not. I mean, low key. I've just been keeping it more low key. Like, not many people know, other than my roommate currently, and you know, pretty much you and my mom. But I'm not from the sense of, oh, America's falling apart. I know we've had that conversation. Like, America's not as bad as
the doomers,
as you being gone for 3 years and not really kind of experiencing it. But being in the finance space in general, I've noticed how bad inflation and prices of just going to the grocery store. Like, I don't even eat that much, and I eat really healthy, and it's like $500 to $1,000 a month on just groceries. So you're spending that just to get ground beef and whatnot, and then you're paying the, like I said, the property insurance, you're paying the rental insurances, you're paying the car insurance, and there's the health insurance. There's all these additional things where when you're abroad, you have pretty much universal health care. You pay for a SIM, and you have super easy public transportation. So what am I paying for? I'm paying for rent, food, and a gym membership. Like, so for me, I'm just doing it to experience a different culture. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and like me and you have gone back and forth on, and I've just kind of been focused on other things. But at this point, it's more of, I'm kind of sick of getting into a new rental in the US and paying all these additional deposits and all these additional insurances. If I can get Wi-Fi, I can still do what I do and make money online. And the second piece is, we both make content, and that's a little bit a part of our business, or funnels into it. And I think for me, I've been doing the solo dolo type of online business for a while, and not many people, I know we've even discussed that, not many people that we know are even doing that. Everyone has normal jobs, normal careers. So it gets kind of boring when you're just doing it by yourself all the time. And so I figured, oh, if we can travel together, good friends from childhood, make content, like, why not just take advantage of that and explore a new place, create content.
I think the biggest thing too is you need to do it before it's too late. All of a sudden you have a kid or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, this is the perfect time. You know, you have to take the jump, see if you like it or not. I think a lot of people, oh, maybe next year, maybe not. And then you're 32 and you're in a long-term relationship and you have all these responsibilities that are lined up, and you never know if you didn't take the jump, you know? So,
for sure.
And I mean, like, where we're from, you know, the suburbs of Minnesota, see the people living their life, and if you're happy, Hakuna Matata. But this, staying in your hometown and doing that, and it's just, and you've been in Florida, so you kind of spread your wings and went down there, Tampa Bay, you know, big city. And I'm just seeing some of my friends here. I'm like, damn, like, that's not what I want. Okay, and
It's just the same thing,
same
over
shit.
and over.
Yeah, same shit.
Which is, if you can work online because of COVID, why not go spend a month somewhere and see if you like it? Why not go spend 2 months? Like, what is...
Because the same shit when you come back home, and nothing changes. You think the whole world's going to change, but it's to be the same thing you hop back into.
You can always go back. Like, that's the same thing when I moved to Florida. You can always go back. Like, you can always go back home. You can always go back to where you're from. Like, there's really... And that's probably why what you had mentioned in the beginning, like, the fears of people traveling. Like, just being in a new environment or a new language, or you see all the bullshit news of murders happening, which is all not falsified, but it's just more hyped up than anything. I think that stops people from doing it.
What are you trying to get out of this? What is the main idea? Okay, you explore the culture, do that, but are you trying to see, like, okay, maybe I could move down to Buenos Aires in the future, or maybe I set myself up for nomadic lifestyle for a little bit? What is the end goal, or the perfect scenario? Like, you're down there for 3 months, you love it, and like, okay, now I'm making good money, I'm gonna go to Colombia and keep the train moving, or what's up?
Well, let me flip it on you. Because I feel like you have kind of like an end goal with the traveling and seeing new places and trying to find different home bases eventually, right?
Yeah, I think basically in a couple of years I'm going to do, right now it's Northeast Brazil for 6 months of the year, and then do the Italian summer, and then save a couple months to do wherever I want to go or see new things. I have a couple countries left. I need to see Russia, I need to see China and India. And I want to do more of Africa, but I got a good taste. But I'm gonna do this for a couple more years, because like the freedom is like nothing. Like wait till you experience it, and it's addicting, you know. And sometimes like every 4 months, you hit that point where like, what am I doing? I'm lonely. Is this is too much? But then you wake up in the morning, you're like, holy shit, I'm in this beautiful place, seeing these new things, experiencing these new things, and life, it slows down actually traveling. So like, I was in Egypt like 3 months ago only, and that feels like 2 years ago because I just spent another couple months in Kenya, right? And then all of a sudden I was in Colombia last year for like 3 months, and that feels like a lifetime ago, because you pack so much experiences into such, small time that it's really good to the brain. Like if I was just living normal life somewhere, like even in Munich after 6 months, I was like, damn, I feel like my life is just withering away. Like I need new stimuli, new culture, new everything. And so yeah, you're gonna get a taste of that, and it's addicting.
I think I'm the
it's
same
so
way.
Addicting.
Though. Like I need to be like in a new place. I need to be stimulated. It gives me energy when I like travel. So I travel throughout the United States quite a bit all the time, and I'll do trips or meet up with people that way because I need a change of pace. And for me, traveling, you start to recognize like how grateful you are for your family and your friends and your life. So for me, travel like gives me like new data sets too. It gives me new ideas for the business, for the content, for what I want to do. It's not necessarily I'm trying to set up places that I could possibly eventually live. I know that could obviously come into mind, but I also don't fall suit to the normal American where it's like plant my roots in a city and buy a house. Like I don't really think homeownership is the best investment in general, especially for someone like myself who wants to travel and be around. Why would I cement myself into a location because I buy a house? I'd rather rent and explore new places and explore new cities and meet new people that way. And for me, it just gives me energy, like traveling and doing new experiences. So there's not necessarily an end goal other than, can I work in this country? Do I like it? Will I come back? And I think once you experience that, you understand, oh, this might be a spot that I might want to spend 4 months a year. And then you travel another 4 months a year to another spot, but that could be eventually your home base. So you never really know. But yeah, for me, I just like the energy of traveling. And I think
let's do the finish this off, like top 5, maybe 10 tips for making the jump to Latin America, because Mexico too, or South America. So like number 1, okay, I think you write a list of what you like, and then you take that list and be like, okay, let's find a city. Now you have AI, so you can literally write 10 things like, I like wine, okay, I like this type of woman, or I need fast Wi-Fi.
You're gonna like that. I heard wine's cheaper than water in Argentina.
Argentina will be great. But then I think you take that list, go into the AI and be like, find me a city, in Latin America that has this, right? Maybe that's a good idea. Like what other tips, obviously get ready for the SIM card. So make sure your phone is unlocked, okay? Because you don't want to spend, whatever the Verizon plan is. I think it's like $12 a day now for Travel Pass. $12 in any of those countries, you're getting like basically unlimited data, So make sure your phone is unlocked with the SIM card in there. The hood maps thing, so know the neighborhoods, of course.
And
like
so understand what type of like living you want to do. Like if you want something a little bit nicer and more modern, like understand like what cities you can that are going to make you feel comfortable. Because if you're going to be in another country, you still want to be in an apartment or a bedroom that you feel comfortable in. You know what I mean? So, or are you someone that can slum it out and stay in hostels and you like staying in hostels? Or, I would say that's important, is just understand how you kind of want to live if you are in another country.
Make sure you have all your electronics, okay? This is the biggest thing, especially down there. They have crazy isolationist economies where they tax everything. I think even in Brazil now, if you buy something in Alibari or wherever, and if it's $50, you need to pay 100% in tax. So you buy something for $50, you need to pay $50 to the government to get it shipped in, right? I remember Jake, when we went to Mexico, his MacBook broke, and so he had one delivered from the USA. They're like, dude, you need to pay like 40% in tariffs, So like, that's what I told him. 2 phones, 2 credit cards, 2 laptops, right? Like you need
SD cards, like anything.
Everything. You got the cameras, the DJIs, the drones. But make sure you have the phones down there, because like Brazil, a phone is 2 to 3 times the price, the iPhone.
3x the amount.
It's stupid. So the electronic piece, make sure you have that.
So you can resell them.
That's the thing too. People do that. Know the right guy to go down there so you can get it sold to a legit person and not get robbed, right? But you can make money. I plan on doing that with one of my laptops, is to sell it in Colombia, because I'm going to Colombia first. And so electronics is a huge thing. What else?
I would say, like, if you're, like, we have a a buddy, Houston, you know, who's thinking about possibly traveling, ended up quitting his job. Like, if you're in the position where you're kind of like sick of the mundane, you're sick of your current career, and you want to travel, like, you can tighten your expenses by traveling to South America and like re-energize like your spirit for what you want. Like, put a purpose into it if that's your case of, hey, I want to learn how to do this type of online business or learn how to make money online. Like, that could be a good jetway of like 90 to 120 days of trying to make, you know, online money work. You know, getting a setting, a DM setting, a sales job, or selling digital products online, or starting your channel, you know, doing those things. I'd say if that's you, you can do the same thing if you're working remote and you have a normal, you know, marketing job. Instead of spending $3-4 grand a month on your expenses, you know, you could cut it down to $1,500 and save money over 6 months.
$1,500 is getting tough, okay, but if you have some experience or you can learn really quick, you can do it. Totally manageable. But a lot of people, when they first go down there, you don't know what to buy, what to spend on, and you're not like in tune with like how to make it work. But the other thing is routines, okay? So when you go down there, I had a problem with a friend in Mexico. You need to be on a routine and treat it like your daily life, okay? If you go in there vacation mode, boom, you burn out fast, your money goes fast. You need to, like, okay, have your morning routine, you know, get to the gym, go to the cafe, or go to the co-working space. Like, you need to treat your life as is normal. Then on the weekend, yeah, sure, do the tourist things, you know, go around, have fun, but this isn't vacation mode, okay? And people, that's a hard light switch to flip, because you're not used to it, right? And then you see these new things, new cultures, your brain is going on a million, you want to do all these different things, but you need to take a deep breath, be like, okay, I got to treat this like somewhat normal life.
That's a good point. Very good point. Because, yeah, if you treat it like a vacation, then, you know, you go out drinking 4 nights a week and you don't have a routine and you're not able to get the things done that you need to get done. You know, it could be as simple as just, I still want to be active, so I want to go on 1 or 2 walks a day. So in between work, you know, go walk around your neighborhood and explore the neighborhood, rather than, you don't have to go, you know, 30 miles out on the train to explore different parts of the city and kind of get used to that. Yeah, because I've told you that, you know, I don't plan on going out all the time. I still want to be focused and have a routine and work out and, you know, get content and explore different places. I want it to be productive and not just another vacation, essentially.
You got to have vaccines ready to go. So I got caught up in Peru because I stayed there over 5 days, and I needed the yellow fever vaccine to leave to Aruba. So, like, make sure you're in tune with, like, you have everything, you know, in check. Good thing that the COVID thing doesn't matter anymore for most places. So Colombia, check MIG. You have to make sure you do this thing 72 hours before you go. There's like little weird things that you need to be ready for going to certain countries. And then even so, you want to travel, you know, from Argentina to Peru, make sure you have this, that. Some people want a return flight, some countries. Usually if you have an American passport, they're more chill on it. But I do this one app, I forgot what it's called, but you pay like $15 for a fake ticket, but it actually books it, but you don't get to use it, of course.
Or you could just do a refundable ticket.
Refundable ticket, yep, so you can do that. You know, you have that stuff in lock. There, some people, like, oh, where are you going to stay? But for the most part, American passport, oh, welcome, come on in, Hakuna Matata. Obviously, know how many days you have there. Like Colombia, I think it's 90 on the first tourist visa. Then you can extend it online for like, I think $25. But I went to like 92 days, and I didn't realize it until the end. I'm like, oh crap, you know, Colombia cares now, and like the fees get a little crazy. And so I got it extended, you know, fastly. I overdid my visa in Brazil, and I had to pay a fine on that, which was interesting. So there's a couple different things.
Was it expensive though? Because I heard sometimes the fines are really cheap, and it can be as simple as just flying to another country for a weekend and then coming right back, and it resets the 90-day requirements. And
so in Brazil, I tried paying when I left because I had a lot of reais on me. They're like, no, like, you know, just wait till you get back. It won't change. Of course, it changed, and it got to like, I don't know, like 1,000 or 1,500 reais. And I had my girlfriend at the time was a lawyer, go in there and be like, hey, you know, he wants to pay it now. Can you pay it? And then they're like, oh, well, now it's changed. You need to pay all these different fees. So they lied to me, but whatever, I paid it. Yeah, I think those are the main points. Be careful with police in South America, Latin America. I think those where you get That's kind of dangerous, messing with them. But in Brazil, like they kept me safe. I was happy to see a police person. They were really keeping people safe. But like Colombia, and I got, in Mexico, they shake you down all the time. So yeah, be careful with the police.
Something that I would say you've done well is if you're on social media or you create content on YouTube or you talk about your experiences on Twitter, like those connections have helped you a ton. So even if you, like Twitter's obviously great, there's great information, but there's also typical brain rot on Twitter. But if you're wondering certain things, follow certain people, ask questions, those connections could help you a lot in a new city for literally anything, from meeting new people and new experiences and, finding the secret spots of the city. So
yeah, dude, honestly, like at the start, I said I'm not going to pay someone like to consultation to figure out where I should go in this sort of area. Luckily I did make the content, so a lot of people would just do a podcast with me, or I could shoot the shit with them and they give me all the information. But I'm telling you, if you don't have that, I would pay someone, even $100, $200 if you're going to the city, if you're going to stay there for a long time, to get the exact laydown. Okay, this is the cafe with the best Wi-Fi. You should definitely go there. Okay, this bar is really cool on this night. Make sure you do this and that. Like, this information saves you so much time. Like, what phone carrier to go to get the easiest things. You don't have to have a CPF in Brazil, and you can just give them a passport that handle it for you. Like you need if you have. It's fun to go there and explore by yourself, but then you're like, damn, I just wasted all that time, that energy, probably money. If I would have just paid this dude, he would have told me everything I needed to know to get me on the right foot out the gate. So don't be afraid to do that. Of course I do it, So if you want to do that little consultation, let me know. And it'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of headache.
Yeah, I completely
here's a big
agree
thing.
with that.
Here's the big thing that I just started getting into is do a tour guide right out the gate, okay? Even
Airbnb experiences too.
There's the hostels. Every hostel has free walking guide, and you tip them at the end, right? But it's not just to see the local stuff, which you should do, but it's to meet that tour guide guy. Then you change numbers with them and be like, hey buddy, I have this question, that question, where do I go here and there? You have like a fixer on the ground, So get one of those local dudes out the gate. So it's better if you do like a solo tour, so you're paying, right? And say, hey, drive me around, do all this kind of stuff, but then that's your guy the rest of the time. Anything you need, you text him, boom, it's handled.
Yeah, I actually did something similar with an Airbnb experience in Malaga, Spain, where, a local took me on a hike that wasn't a typical, hike. A local hike, it ended up being incredible. And then his family ended up having a restaurant in the city that we were able to go to, an authentic, Spanish restaurant. They showed us around the city, drinks. So those are the types of experience where you can get a more local versus like a touristy, like Viator type of experience, like Airbnb experiences or some type of tour guide like that is always helpful. You can even find that stuff through some of the Facebook groups too. Like if you want to understand what's happening in a city, or maybe even find other rentals outside of Airbnb, being on the expat groups or even just locals or gringos of Buenos Aires or the city that you're looking for can get you your questions answered rather than you just constantly searching Google.
And most of them are happy to answer stuff on those Facebook groups. You can ask them whatever you want, they'll help you out. Another thing is don't neglect friendships on the road, like with dudes, okay? When I first started doing it, I'm like, I don't care. I have my friends back home. I just want to date or whatnot. But the last couple of years, I've focused on meeting dudes a lot on the social media, but also, if you don't even stay at the hostel, but you stay at an Airbnb and you go to the hostel and then you just go mess around with these type of dudes, or high-end hotels, you can go work there. A lot of them, you go into the lobby, you start working, shoot the shit, but meet dudes. Because, for example, in Buenos Aires, I have an apartment in Palermo for free because I met this guy in Egypt, Argentine guy. We had a great couple days, hung out, and I told him, hey, I'm coming down. He's like, Nick, you're not staying in the place, you're staying in mine. No one's there. Stay there as long as you want, and those kind of things happen, right? Like on the Twitter is huge. Like build up your brand, or don't just be like an anonymous guy. Then you can message these guys that are in these cities, and they'll give you the best advice. A lot of them will meet up with you. Then you have a real connect on the ground. But don't neglect meeting dudes if you're a traveling dude, because a lot of cool things can happen. And you got a bro, and you can have those conversations. Like you need that too. To have those kind of nights. Think that's good?
I mean, let's maybe give them what can they expect from the boys in VA? You know, what's to come? I mean, we both have, obviously he has Bold, and I have my own YouTube channel as well, just my name. That's where I talk. That's one thing as well. I don't back off of traveling because I know how to travel. Like me, people might think, oh, well, it's expensive to fly internationally. I talk about points and miles and how to utilize those credit card points and miles.
You just got business class to Rio, no?
Yeah, and I'm essentially flying business class to Rio, and then I'm also flying business class on a shorter flight from Rio to Buenos Aires, and it's costing me less than $50, and it's costing me less than 60,000 points. So I'm getting, now you don't have to fly business class, you can fly economy and get this same type of value. But when you can utilize those things that I even talk about on the channel, it makes, you know, people that want to travel, that want to be more nomad, it makes those trips even that much cheaper. That's $1,000 saved by being able to do that. So
that's another point though. No foreign fee transaction credit cards. You need that. I have a couple now, but he actually got me a really good one. Was it a Chase Preferred?
Chase Preferred, yeah.
And I got a crap ton of points on that, but you need those cards because then you get the best rate. You know, you don't have to worry about having a bunch of cash on you. When I first went overseas, I didn't have one, and I was using my credit card a lot, and it's like 2-3%. You know,
adds up when you're living somewhere and swiping every day.
And so that's a huge thing. I think the Chase Preferred was really good.
Best travel card to get started with.
Capital One Saver is really good. There's no annual fee, and it works everywhere. Amex, some places it doesn't. Usually the high-end place will take it.
It seems to be that South America accepts Amex quite a bit. When I was in Mexico City, they had Amex signs everywhere, and even some places weren't taking like MasterCard. They just wanted Amexes. So depending on where you are, obviously Europe doesn't really take Amexes, but having the 0% foreign transaction fees when you're in America, possibly getting a few different cards, not just personal cards. If you have a business, getting business cards, stacking up points, because then that can help you with hotels, with flights, and that's what I'll be talking about, the same type of content, but we're going to obviously be doing some vlogs and some more content that you guys can get some good information on. The
good thing about the credit cards too, like if you get cloned, I got cloned in Floripa, boom, they canceled it, got the money back, and then they sent me a new one within like 5 days. But thank God I had other credit cards, you know, because if I'm just relying on one credit card and it gets, you know, cloned and whatnot, you're screwed. So, but the credit cards are really good. They'll ship them anywhere.
You shouldn't be swiping your debit card in another country.
Oh yeah,
guys, a credit card is technically the bank's money. So if something happens or someone steals it, they want to protect their money. If you have a debit card and someone were to take that, or they were to clone it, or you know, putting the weird stuff on the swipers where they're getting your information, that's coming right out of your bank account, and that bank does not care at all because it's coming out of your checking account. But if it's a credit card, you're going to be, obviously you can use it to pull cash out of ATMs and things like that. But I wouldn't be swiping it every day.
The best one, the debit card, is the Charles Schwab one. So they redo the fines or the fees you get from the ATM. Like right now, I have the Wells Fargo card. Anytime I take money out, I pay the ATM fee and I think another $5 non-Wells Fargo thing. So it's $10, you know, each time. But luckily, I usually get paid in different countries in cash. So I don't need to worry about that. But try to get that Charles Schwab one or a card that doesn't take so many fees. But you shouldn't. A lot of countries you don't need money, okay? You don't need cash. You can rely on, like if you get in Brazil, a CPF, you can get Pix, which is basically Venmo down there, and they all use that. But most countries now, it seems like, okay, you tap the card, you're good, Hakuna Matata. But, you know, some places and some things you need cash for, and you want to have that just in case, you know, especially, I would carry some dollars around just to always have. You never know when you might need it. Yeah. But yeah, for us, I think we're doing a lot of content, a lot of travel stuff, podcasting. I've been posting like 3 weeks, but I have a lot of stuff built up. These vlogs are not easy to edit, very not easy to edit, but it'll be good, exciting. And this is the first time I've done, no, second time I did with Jake in Mexico, and I'm curious. Now we're not going to stay together, maybe for the first month, so I think that might help too. Because sometimes you stay with someone, it gets old and annoying, but being with someone in a city that you know, you can do things together. It should be fun and exciting. So I hope this gave you some sort of insight on going down to South America. I think we'll do more updates with Zach about his experience down there. And so for you guys that want to make the jump. Cool? All right, live bold.